Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you all about Mosdos Literature Press. This is a reading literature program that we've been obsessed with, and I'm going to be using it as my main core in the upcoming school year. So I want to talk about the 4th grade level Ruby, but I really just want to talk about the curriculum and the schedule that I'm going to be using it for in my upcoming school year. So if that is something that interests you, please keep watching. Mosdos has been a hit in our homeschool. I incorporated this in our 3rd grade year kind of slowly as I was using it as something my child could do once a week while I was at work. On the day that I was not going to be here to be able to school for her. It was something she could do independently by reading the story and completing the workbook pages. This got to be a lot because to do it all in one day was just kind of pushing my luck here, so to say. But let's just talk about it. So Mosdos Press, the 4th grade level, is in one very thick textbook for the child or student, and it comes with a student workbook. And then there is 2 teachers manuals that you can purchase. I don't know that they are absolutely necessary if you just wanted to use the textbook by yourself. It has questions incorporated in the textbook already and the vocabulary and stuff like that. And then the workbook, you can even do without that if you don't want the extra practice work. That's going to go along with the textbook. So keep that in mind when deciding. This is a pricier curriculum. You can find it on Rainbow Resources and Christian whatever. I wouldn't consider this an actual, I don't recall any stories having God or anything like that in them, but I'm pretty sure the stories I've heard can be paired up with Christian stories, like from the Bible and stuff. So I have not come across it. I think it's pretty secular in my opinion. But you could definitely purchase these used on Facebook Marketplace or eBay. So keep that in mind as well for cost standpoints, as I think the content is so rich. The stories are so good. They have so many life lessons in them, and so many good conversations come from these that this is why I'm changing our schedule for next year, because she was reading the story all on her own and I want to read them with her. I know, because come on, we are going to be basing this curriculum is going to kind of be the foundation for our language arts. This is something we're going to do every day next year. So how I'm going to break it up. So this goes very heavy on the reading, setting, plot, character components. What is a story? What is plot? What is theme? And it has a whole poetry unit in this level, which we aren't going to be doing, and I'll explain that in a second. So on Mondays, we're going to be tackling what they call lesson in literature. This is a little story that's literally only 1 page, sometimes on both pages. That's going to kind of preface the idea behind the story that we're going to read for the week. It's going to have our, what is a story is the theme of what we're going to be discussing in Unit 1. So it's going to have questions to think about as we're reading. And then we will do 1 vocabulary page in the workbook to go along on Monday. So that is it. We'll be doing the lesson in literature on Monday. So on Tuesday is the day that I'm not here. Tuesday, she's not going to read anything. She's going to do 1 page in the book that's a vocabulary activity page, okay? Some days there's an activity page, some days there's not. So some days on Tuesday, she might not have an assignment to do at all. So Wednesday, we're going to be doing the introduction for the story for Leah's Pony, and we're going to go into the blueprint and the narrative elements to consider when reading through this story. Once she reads through the story, which is beautifully illustrated. There's not a lot of text on a page, so it's not overwhelming to the child. It always has an about the author at the very end of the story. And so then we're going to focus on the comprehension questions in the workbook. There's 2 pages usually of comprehension type styled questions. I'll show you that in a second. So the last day of the week, which is Thursday, usually there's some type of poem that wraps up the end of the story. So we're going to be reading the poem and going over the graphic organizers in the workbook. So then again, this will repeat. Sometimes there's the Jill's journal, which we typically don't do. So we would go on to Monday again, lesson in literature, pair it with the workbook. On Tuesday, she will do another workbook page independently, just one. Wednesday, we would start the story. So let's talk about the workbook. So here's the workbook. It's not very large. It is in black and white compared to other from 3rd grade. Was in color, but like it was literally just, when I say in color, I'll show you. The color was just like at the top of the page. So it's really not a big deal that the workbook isn't in color. As long as my story is in color and the beautiful illustrations are still there, I'm good with that. So on Monday, this is what I'm talking about. 1 vocabulary page she would complete on Monday. On Tuesday, when I'm not here, she would then complete the other vocabulary activity page, okay? Then on the day that we read the story, which is on Wednesday, we're going to complete the comprehension questions in the book. Now, and then on Thursday, we would complete the graphic organizer. So this is stuff that is not always going to be independent to her. I am going to help her with some of these things. The activities do change week to week. It's not always the same thing, which is super nice. Graphic organizers are really cool in the notebook. There's such interesting things that they have you do. The activities are different, but it looks like the comprehension questions are kind of the same way or same style. There's always like drawing conclusions, one step further, and in-depth thinking. So we absolutely love Mosdos. We are not going to be doing the entire unit on poetry because there's that poetry page that's at the end of the story every week, typically. If there's not, there's still usually graphic organizers to work on in the workbook. And so this is going to be like our core. I thought I would just pull like spelling and vocabulary from here. But I decided against making this into like our entire language arts unit. So she's going to have a separate spelling and a separate writing, which writing isn't really incorporated in here anyway. It has some writing components, but not like writing process type components. And then on the days that I believe Thursdays, we're going to add word roots into our language art component, which breaks down like the vocabulary and how to spell and stuff like that, like the roots of the words. So that is, I mean, this is so good. We loved it our 3rd grade year, and that's why I purchased it for our 4th grade year. And I really want to break this down because the teacher's manual has so much. So the teacher's manual has always some type of getting started page. It has what the workbook pages look like for the student, the vocabulary listed, obviously the answers to the questions, but on every single page, okay, I mean, there is so much good nuggets that you could use if you did decide to purchase the teacher's manual. It has analytical questions, literal questions, the literary components, talking about where to find them in the reading and how to point them out. And it's so good. It's so good. There's so much in here. And I do plan to utilize this along with the book. There are like questions as you go, right? So there's going to be like the discussion questions as they read the story. My daughter does not like to have me stop to ask her a question while she's reading. So I will pick the ones that I feel are most important to discuss in the story ahead of time and discuss them when we're done reading the story before she goes into the workbook. So let's talk about there is a project at the end of the unit. Let me grab that real fast so that I can show you what the end of unit project looks like. The teacher's manual is in black and white, which is fine. I mean, I can live my color life through her. In here. Okay, here. So unit 2 wrap up. So there's always going to be some sort of project at the end of a unit. We haven't done these in the past, but I may consider doing them depending on if I can switch some things around to make it more homeschool related and not like classroom related, because sometimes it says like work with a group. So activity 1 is like a greetings. So you have seen aisles of greeting cards in many stores. Now you have a chance to create your own greeting card for a character in one of the stories in unit 2. So that's really cool, creating a greeting card for one of the characters. The second activity is choose one character from the unit 2. Some themes of the stories in this unit were making mistakes and learning from them, and the sense of belonging, accepting criticism, prejudice, and preservation. And then you're going to write a synquine about the character or theme you've chosen. Follow the line pattern above, which there's 5 line patterns, which is basically a poem or a type of poem. And try to use specific lively words to avoid overused words. But it tells them exactly, synquine, sorry, I said that wrong. At least it tells me how to say it right. And then there is an activity, or there's 4 activities typically to pick from. So activity 3 is more for like a classroom. It wants you to divide it into groups, represent a committee, discuss the stories, and then write 3 reviews about a different selection. So, I mean, she could write a review if she wanted. And then activity 4 is moment of clarity. So imagine looking outside through a foggy window and you wipe away the moisture and suddenly the view is crystal clear. Sometimes our thoughts like the foggy window are unclear. An experience, a comment, even some idea that enters our mind can make things clear. When we come to understand something that we did not really understand before, we have clarity. In this unit, many characters achieve clarity towards the end of the story. It's like an aha moment. It lists an example, and then it wants you to write an essay about a personal situation where you reached a moment of clarity. So lots of options, and we could choose to forego it altogether. I don't know. It'll just depend on the week, what's going on, and if she wants to do them. I'm not going to force her to do any of them, but I think some could be fun at some point. So that is Mosdos Literature Press in Ruby, our 4th grade level. This does go from 3rd to 8th grade. So I really think you should take a look at this company. I think it's excellent. It really is. I'm not going to do a flip through on this quite yet. I kind of want to give you more in depth of a review as we get going into this curriculum. And then when I do that, I will attach a flip through later on in our year. I have done a bunch of Mosdos grade 3 videos, which I will try to remember to link down below in the description box, but you can always just go on my channel and look through to see which ones fit best. So that is it, my friends. Let me know in the comments. I want to know everything on your thoughts of Mosdos Press. Have you heard of it? Have you been eager to try it or look at it? If you didn't like something about it, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to chat with you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.